Hello everybody, welcome to my first ever mapping video on the channel. Not really, that's a lie, that's not even true. I've done mapping on this channel before, it's just the channel was taken down because of the mapping, and then I got it reinstated, and now I can't do mapping anymore, but I'm going to, this is like my third attempt of trying to do mapping on the channel again. Of course, you know, y'all saw I turned it into a gaming channel, but it doesn't really seem to be doing that well, so, yeah. The question is of where we're gonna form the first country is gonna be answered as the first humanoid groups pop up around the Canadian area. Specifically, they pop up along this little stretch of land. I don't really know what there is, but they do make it down to a lake. I'm pretty sure these are the Great Lakes. Yeah, these are the... No, those are the Great Lakes. This is a part of the Great Lakes, I think. They branch out and they make it to this ocean, which is the, I think it's the Atlantic. I'm not really educated that well on the oceans, but they have two search parties moving up that area and then moving up this area. They discover a decent portion of that area, and then this group eventually does get lost. Of course, they cannot discover any islands because they don't know what boats are. The group is found, up here. They're found like right around this area, so that means that they now know everything in this gulp of area, which is pretty good for a few hundred years on the earth. They continue down into Pennsylvania and Ohio, which is where I live. I had a channel called Ohio Does Maps after this mapping channel got banned. And now they need a place to settle down. So, of course, they're a tribe, kind of. They're a tribe, and they just accidentally circle back around. But then they continue up into Detroit. These guys continue up into Canada, and I'm going to fix these borders. Alright, this is all I'm going to do for now. I'm going to keep it natural for a little bit. Okay. So this is the area, and of course, these guys kind of thrive in the cold because Detroit, Northern Ohio, Northern Pennsylvania, and the New England areas, and also Canada, are quite cold areas. And after about 600 years of existing on this planet, they finally learn what a country is. Yes, it took them 600 years. 600 years is a quite long time, but, I mean, at least they discovered what a country was. They just establish a green country, and they don't really know how to run a country, so it's kind of a mess. It's a real big mess, and as they continue to discover the world, they kind of neglect the people that are in their country, which is going to lead to a bit of widespread, hatred towards the leaders of this country, which, speaking of its leaders, are three people, three really, really bad people with very, very long beards. They have very, very long beards for some reason. I don't know why. But they have really long beards. And they decide it's going to be fit to continue up north. They want to continue up north, up these areas. And the people truly don't want to. The people want to continue down south, where it is warmer. They also want to continue more west, where it is warmer. But of course, the people are going to be outvoted because the leaders are more powerful than, the people that live here. The people have no choice but to continue up north, so they continue up north. One group goes into a spearhead up north, and the other continues up this area. Eventually, both groups reach this, lake thing. I don't know what it's called, but we'll just say for the sake of it, I don't know if there really is what I'm about to say there. I really don't know, but we're going to say that the mountains over here are just too big for them to cross, so they're kind of like, it's kind of like stuck something like that. Nah, that's too small. It's going to be something, yeah, like this. And that area is just stuck undiscovered, because they can't really get over the mountains. Again, I don't know if there's mountains there. I don't care if there's mountains there. We're just going to say, for the sake of geography, the world was hit by they got wiped out by nuclear weapons. And then humans emerged out of caves. We'll just say that. So that means kind of the landscape is so much different. Like the Himalayas don't exist anymore. Mount Everest doesn't exist anymore. The Amazon doesn't exist anymore. Alaska is like burning up hot, even though Canada is freezing cold. I don't know how that makes sense. But the people go behind the backs of the leaders, and the people up here decide to continue. They go down to the country in secret, and they continue down. They go down towards New Jersey, New York, and they eventually rest in South Carolina and Virginia. So, yeah. So, they go behind the leaders' backs, and they continue south. And, groups continue down into New Jersey as well. Eventually, wind of this is caught up, but not before a lot of the south over here and like the east is discovered. The people are like, the leaders are, they're pissed. They are mad. They're like fuming. They're like turning red, like anger in that movie. I forget what it's called, but they're turning red, mad. There's horns growing out of their heads now. So they banish everybody out of the country besides them and a few loyalists. And so, a country is formed. This new country is miles better than the green one. Miles better, I mean 50 times better. Stronger, better, bigger, and greater than the green country. So everybody that wasn't kicked out, including the loyalists, switch sides, and they go ahead and they flee to this country. And the only people left in the green country are soldiers, because they learned what soldiers are, and they're kind of like in the Greek era of fighting. They have shields and stuff. They actually don't have shields. They just have like small stone spears. They're not really that advanced. There's not really, I don't know if there's much iron over here, but we'll just say due to the nuclear war millions of or hundreds of thousands of years ago, before they existed, the entire iron supply of North America was wiped out, in some of South America, and it all just rained down, killing a bunch of humans in the old world, which is now the new world. And this is the old world, and that's the new. It's confusing. Really, it's confusing. If you don't know what I mean, then it's confusing. But yeah. So, the green country has no choice but to go ahead and say, hey, we're going to be fighting now. So they go ahead and say that. And within maybe a month of getting that letter, because it takes a while to get the letter, there's vast expansions across this entire empire. It's now officially an empire. And they go ahead and decide that they're going to be real big. And they're going to not be the better country. And they're going to absolutely eviscerate this country. In which that's what they do. They quickly invade the country and quickly eviscerate it, because the soldiers are no match for the bigger population of the red country. So the red country completely eviscerates them, and they don't even know what a peace treaty is, so they're just going to exist like that until they figure out what that is, which is probably not going to be for a while. So now they're just under the control. They're just under control. These guys eventually wrap around the Great Lakes. Lake Ontario, I think, is right there as well. Again, I'm not too educated with the lakes in North America. I'm kind of more educated in the old world for some reason. Detroit is completely discovered, and this is the full discovered map as of right now. The episode's not done yet. This area is completely discovered, and boom. Of course, there's some civil unrest in this area. Lots of civil unrest in this area, and groups pop up wanting to get their independence, and some groups are really, really successful, and others are really unsuccessful. But eventually, a new country emerges out of the ashes of this country, the dark blue country. I'm joking. They're not dark blue because it contrasts, it fucks up the ocean. They go ahead and swallow all of these civil unrests into themselves and declare that they are now friends with the red country. And if you guys, I don't have my webcam on or anything, but I'm doing air quotes when I said friends. I did air quotes when I said they're friends now. They're really not. They still hate each other because it's still the same leaders from whenever it was the green country, surprisingly. The red country, of course, doesn't know that. And they go ahead and quickly switch back to the greenish tone, which obviously signals the fact that they're back to their old ways. And they just start to expand. They reach down, or they go this way for just some odd reason, but however they do hit the red country, and the red country catches on, and the red country's they're like, hey, stop it now, or we're gonna have to swallow you whole. And of course they don't believe that until they get swallowed whole and completely devoured and annexed. So they're completely annexed, because what are they going to do? Fight them? I mean, they just got demolished by them. Like 20 years prior, they were demolished. This, of course, leads to more and more discovery, but lots and lots of unrest in this here country. I mean, lots of unrest, which is going to lead to some minor groups popping up in, like, New Jersey is going to be one of the areas. And then the other area is going to be Ontario and Toronto, Canada, and like just like this entire half area. And then it's going to be, you know, the Carolinas are going to go ahead and get on the action and even take some of this. And eventually, after a few more countries join, it just becomes a full-blown civil war. The first ever civil war, I might add you. This is the first ever civil war in their history. Definitely not, you know, the prior humans' history. No, they had lots and lots of civil wars, including a nuclear war. Did I mention that? But yeah, they're in a full-blown civil war. Like, they're demolished, pretty much. Their country's in shambles. So I think that's a good area to end this episode. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.